Blue Underground brings to 4K UHD and Blu-ray, so if you buy the package, it has one of each in there, the 1981 kidnap thriller slash animal attack film Venom, not to be confused with the Sony Marvel hoo-ha. This stars Klaus Kinski, Oliver Reed, Susan George, Nicol Williamson, Sarah Miles, Michael Gough very, very briefly, and Nicol Williamson, did I say Sterling Hayden, in a film, basically, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. The story goes a little something like this. There's a rich family, an affluent, a prominent family with a prominent apartment or house or whatever you want to call it in a row house in London, and the mother and parents or whatever, they go off out of the country, or they go away for a short while, leaving their young child who is obsessed with snakes and reptiles and has many of them in his house, and their grandfather also lives in the house to look after the boy. The grandfather is left behind to look after the boy, the chauffeur, and the maid. The chauffeur is Oliver Reed. The maid is Susan George. Unfortunately for the little boy and the grandfather, the chauffeur and the maid have concocted a scheme with former terrorist Klaus Kinski, who is very Klaus Kinski in this film, who is the boyfriend of the maid, to kidnap this little boy and hold him for ransom. So that's the basic story. But the twist to this is the little boy, right before this kidnap thing goes down, goes to a pet store and he picks up a new pet snake and he brings it home. And then Sarah Miles, who's like a snake expert, then realizes, we see a little bit of her in her office, and she's been trying to get a deadly black mamba snake, which is one bite and you're dead unless you have the anti-venom, and even then you may or may not make it. There's a great scene where she's like, oh, well, she gets a new snake and she's like, this isn't the snake I ordered. Oh no, what did I send to the pet store? So the little boy has I'm not going to tell you the whole story. The little boy has brought home with him a deadly black mamba. So then we have a kidnapping film, which is a decent enough kidnapping thriller. This was based on a paperback thriller novel, by the way. Very decent kidnapping story with two of the great maniac actors of the 70s and early 80s acting together, who apparently got along just beautifully. And the snake gets loose. So basically what you have here, that's much of the plot I'm going to give you. What you have here is the police are outside. We know you're in there. Let the boy go. And that's Nicol Williamson. And everybody inside is trying to, survive dealing with these evil kidnappers. And once in a while, somebody opens a cupboard and the snake pops out and bites him. So it's like you almost forget the snake is even there. You're watching this decent British thriller about a kidnapping. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's a deadly snake. It's pretty ridiculous. It's not great. It's fun. This is the kind of movie that I would have seen myself watching on like a weekend afternoon on a local channel back when I was a kid, and thinking it was pretty interesting. But it's weird. It's weird. It's got a very good cast, certainly. It's got great snake attack scenes. Klaus Kinski goes nuts occasionally. There's a scene, I'm not giving anything away to say most of these characters meet the snake at some point. Some survive, some don't. When Oliver Reed meets the snake, it is a wonderful scene that I can imagine, especially, Blue Underground tends to lean toward things that played in Times Square and the 42nd Street theaters. I can imagine an audience in the theater back in 81 when this came out, just losing their minds at that scene with Oliver Reed and the snake and where that goes. So that's the plot. I will tell you the specs and I'll show you the disc and all that. So it is 2 discs. It's a 4K disc that has content, and then it is a Blu-ray disc that has content. And it's not one of those, unless I read my notes and lie to myself, it is not one of these where the 4K is on, the movie is on the 4K and the Blu-ray is just extras. So it is 92 minutes long. It has a score by Michael Kamen. I think it might have been his first score from what the extras were saying on this. The 4K disc presents the film in English Dolby Atmos. This is the audio. English 5.1 DTS HD, English 2.0 DTS HD, has English SDH subtitles, so it's subtitles in English, but it also is for the deaf and hard of hearing. So it gives you, it'll say in parentheses, doorbell rings or music, just so people who can't hear very well or at all know what the extra sounds are that they're not hearing. It has French subtitles and Spanish subtitles. The extras on the 4K disc are a vintage commentary with director Piers Haggard. Blue Underground has put this out over the years on DVD and Blu-ray, and now this 4K. They're doing a lot of that, where they're taking the films that they still have the rights to and just upgrading them to 4K and porting over the extras. So vintage commentary by director Piers Haggard, what I believe to be a new commentary by film historians Troy Howarth, Nathaniel Thompson, and Eugenio Ercolani. The trailer, that's a minute and a half, and it's the UK Handmade Films, which was George Harrison's film company. They released it in the UK, I believe. I want to say it was Paramount. It was Paramount here. The teaser trailer is 30 seconds. That's the US Paramount. The Blu-ray disc has the same commentaries. It has more extras. A lot of times they'll do this where the extras are either, ported over from being standard def, or they want to devote as much of the data bit rate and data space on the 4K to making the movie look as good as possible. And they'll put the more extras on the Blu-ray. Fangs for the Memories, interview with editor, second unit director Michael Bradsell, that's 26 minutes. A Slithery Story, interview with makeup artist Nick Dudman, that's 21 minutes. Mamba Memories, interview with editor and critic Kim Newman, who's always great, 23 minutes. He gets into a lot of the novelization, or the novel that the film came from too. Pick Your Poison, interview with the Dark Side's Alan Bryce, that's 15 minutes. TV spots. There are 3 30-second TV spots for the US release, and they really play up the snake angle. And there's a poster and still gallery that has 126 images, which is pretty robust. One of the things they do too, I think it does it on the cover, yeah. One of the things they do too in those TV spots is name drop a lot of other really classic movies. And it's always that's always a dangerous road to walk when you start name dropping films that are inevitably going to be better than the one that you're trying to promote. So this is the Blue Underground release. We have a slipcase front and back, which has that blue underground look, and the slipcase slips to reveal that artwork. And I don't think it's a reversible cover. It is a reversible cover. So then we have the 2 discs, the Blu-ray and the 4K. The alternate cover is that Venom artwork. And then we have the booklet, which I think is just one article. We have a cast list, and we have, this is great. Filmmaking Bites, the twisting, turning history of Venom by my close personal friend, Michael Gingold. And you get to see the original book cover and some stills from the film that are spoilery, so I won't show you. And you get, various poster art. So it's a very cool look back at this film that I think a lot of people don't know, and is unfortunately, like other movies that have similar titles, like a movie called Frozen about people trapped in a chairlift, is always going to be forgotten and set aside because there's a Disney film. Unfortunately, this version of Venom is always going to be pushed into the shadows, much like a Black Mamba that you don't know is there, because there is the series of Marvel movies called Venom. Anyway, I thought it was fun. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was fun. But if you like that cast and you like the idea of a serious crime thriller, and suddenly a snake pops up and bites somebody and kills them in really horrifying ways, I'm not going to say who it was, but the first person you see get bit and what happens to them is something that's like straight out of a horror movie. So on Blu-ray and 4K from Venom, from Blue Underground, is 1981's Venom.